I am... You didn't hear anything.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Kansas for the final time in our Maconi setup shop ARCA races here at Maconi Entertainment. 100 laps setting up for Jeff Maconi's ARCA appearance at this very speedway. Coming up very, very soon. It's myself, Fiona Leary, and Ron Mounds taking you through the action tonight with Harry behind the cameras, as we have been for 3 occasions over the course of the month of September. As I say, preparing Jeff Maconi for his appearance in the real life series. Glad to tell you that we've got 17 drivers already having practiced in this session, or already having qualified, I should say, and one of them is not Maconi, who will surely do the same. We should get over 20 starters here tonight. Ron, glad to be back alongside you again. These races have been so fun for the couple of weeks we've done them. And yeah, we're good to go again here. One final time, one more 100-lap race. We'll see what happens this time round. And yeah, I'm sure it's going to be another enjoyable one.
Yeah, one more heave-ho from these ARCA bootcamp races here in the month of September. We've had a lot of fun up to this point, but Jeff has gotten enough seat time, at least a little bit more that he'll be getting throughout the course of tonight. But yeah, he'll be out there on the real-life Kansas Speedway in a real-life ARCA car in the not too far off future. For now, though, getting some more seat time in the sim and running around this track that has produced some very good racing over the past couple of weeks, it must be said, Ewan. We talked about it a lot, about the unique style and the unique flavor of racing that we've seen over the past couple of weeks around this track. Kind of a mix of like super speedway flair and pack racing and drafting mixed with a lot of intricacies that you usually see of intermediates as well.
Maconi's still got one more lap, and it's just as well because he's only 18th at the moment, just under 4/10 of a second behind William George, who's currently topping this qualifying session. We'll just follow Jeff up towards the start-finish line, giving us something to watch in the final seconds in qualifying, and we take our hat off to him for that. Over the line for Maconi, and where is he going to end up? Third place, that's much more like it. So 400ths of a second away from Robbie Johnston, and 2/3 of a tenth behind William George, who will look like he takes pole here tonight. The first two races we've seen, Ron, this month have been very, very different, I think. Last week we had a much more of a green flag run towards the beginning. The week before that, or 2 weeks before that, was a lot more stop-start, and I wonder whether it's going to be more like week 1 or week 2 with at least 20 drivers taking the start, maybe more.
I'll have to see what kind of style of racing we get here today, whether it's going to be a bit more on the strategic side that we have seen a small little sprinkling of over the past two runnings of this ARCA bootcamp race, or whether it's going to be a bit on the chaotic end. We've kind of seen both of that in the two races we've had up to this point. So the same combination, still the same situation. Let's just see how this race is going to be, whether it's an absolute barn burner with the strategy, or whether or not these racers are going to be trying to kill each other for the next hour and a half.
Yeah, absolutely. It's time to grid up then, and time to have a look at the starting grid ready for tonight's final ARCA bootcamp race. It's William George, I say, on the pole, with Robbie Johnston alongside, just 27 thousandths of a second off the pole. 2/3 of a tenth off pole for Maconi, with Tanner Mills alongside this time round. Jeff Weimer is then in 5th place, seen Jeff at least once so far in the last couple of weeks. JJ Allen then lining up alongside, also another driver we've seen so far. Joseph Tucker and Logan Julian Taylor will share row 4. They're the first two drivers over a tenth off of pole. Jaden McGowan and Michael Crump round out the top 10. 11th place has gone to Stuart Hanf, with Joshua Evans, the first driver, 2/10 of a second off the pole. Terry Henry, who we have seen a couple of occasions this season, the only driver who's been at both rounds other than Jeff Maconi this season, is alongside Keshawn Claytor, who is 14th. Desmond Bernal and Gavin Schilling will then share row 8, with just under 3/10 back, Blaze Burland and Doug Cavalier. See how close the field is. These guys 17th and 18th and only 3/10 behind, but the gaps get a bit bigger behind them. Brett Tyson and Stephen McGuff are rounding out the top 20. Austin Mace didn't qualify, neither did Ethan Holland, nor did Bryce Holcomb, Tim Rossano, Wilson Smith, Shane Loveridge or Adam Bayliss. Hopefully they do start further towards the back of the pack. Hearing that we are going to see a manually thrown halfway caution at lap 50 here this time around. I have a feeling that could be canned if it's quite a stop-start race, but let's see about that when we get towards lap 50. I was concerned about the amount of fuel that these guys had, and whatever was a big feature in last week's race, actually, Ron. And I wonder whether this is going to be a fuel mileage race as well, or whether we're going to get too many cautions for that to be a factor. It's going to be very important these first 30 laps or so for the field game.
Yeah, it's going to dial these racers in terms of the strategy. It's going to dial them in to figure out what to expect in the 100 lap long race that we have that lies ahead for these competitors. If it's a clean start and we can really just burn the laps away as if it's nobody's business, then it will feel different than if we get the race underway, have a 15-car pile up down to turn number 1, and then everybody gets struck by a falling anvil. There's so many different ways that this race can go based off the first, I would say, probably the first quarter of it. Once we get 25 laps into this race, we'll have a pretty good idea as to how the rest 75 will probably work out. But here we go, Ewan.
Up towards the green flag for the final ARCA Boot Camp race from Kansas. William George brings them to the green. 100 more laps here in September from Kansas. Three wide off of turn 4 as we complete the first lap of 100. It's William George who leads. Robbie Johnston, who does have a black flag, we'll see whether that gets cleared in a couple of moments' time. But this is proper pack racing for the 22 starters here tonight.
Oh, it's a matter of inches separating some of these competitors. Nothing separating them from the walls. You see some white smoke get kicked up in the air as those racers scrape that safer barrier. But these racers trying to scrap and claw and battle for any single spot that they can. Really important to set the right tone in the early stages. You can drop down like a stone thrown into a pond. You're not going to be feeling good about the rest of your race, but if you can be really aggressive early on, it can feel good. Speaking of aggressive, that's number 12, Tanner Mills, trying to jump his way up into P2.
Absolutely a good jump down the inside from Mills. We'll try and clear now on the way down the backstretch, but certainly won't. Johnston will head around the outside and get up into second position. Maconi alongside. And you've got Joseph Tucker, who's in there as well, rounding up the top 5. But this is ideal for William George. He'll be looking to break away with this battle going on.
I think William George is going to see all the chaos in his rearview mirror and say, you know what, I'll let you drivers battle. I'm just going to run off into the sunset. He can't really do that, though, because Maconi is right on the inside of him. You can see the separation of those two cars as they head their way down the back stretch, and then goes for it down the inside into turn number 3 and 4. Keep an eye on that number 25 car, though, Robbie Johnson. He's stuck on the outside, and he still has that penalty for him, so not sure whether or not that will, in fact, get cleared, and he may potentially pick up a disqualification here soon, hearing that it was a black flag for passing the race leader coming to take the green flag. So Robbie Johnson, unless he can come in to serve that black flag, which based off the fact he's in the midst of a hornet's nest, I don't really think he can. He may end up seeing him drop out.
It would be a real shame to see it happen that way. Now, can he jump down here? Is he going to? Joseph Tucker jumps in front of him here, and so he's going to carry on after 5 laps. We'll see what happens to him here. Maconi is going to be close to leading a lap there. William George still alongside, and there it is. Yellow in the background meantime is 5 laps complete. I think it's Logan Julian-Taylor along with Joseph Evans who are both involved back here.
And just touching on it, right as we saw that yellow come out, the disqualification coming out for Robbie Johnston. So we have 3 racers involved in a crash out there on the racetrack and 1 out of the race. Oh, that was a big hit with the 39. Oh my God! I thought it was bad with the 39 hitting the 03, but then the 39 got hit into Timbuktu.
Yeah, just very much just turned there, isn't he, in 03, and have a look at this hit. 39, bang! Oh. Goodness me, that's Stephen McGuff, I think, in 27. Yeah, it is. I mean, we'll see it from onboard here, hopefully, and just get an idea as to just how much he saw, or how little. Probably the better way to explain it. Off of 4, he comes here. You see the spin, he's diving to the low side. You think you're going to be okay, but he just wasn't. Maybe in hindsight could have lifted off and broke it a little bit more, but it's a lot easier to avoid these incidents in hindsight.
On a bike, I'm pretty sure I just got concussion looking at that. That was a hellacious impact between those two. We were expecting some drama in the early stages, and we certainly got it with a big accident coming on to that start-finish straightaway, the start-finish area, I should say. A reminder, folks, though, quick yellows are going to be thrown whenever there are fewer than 10 laps of green flag running, so may end up being in one of those ourselves right now, since we only have 7 laps on the board of this 100-lap-long race. Not even an eighth of the way into it here, Ewan, and we have the first caution coming out. I wonder if this is going to be a trendsetter yellow, or whether or not that's going to be a bit of a one-off. It was a little bit farther behind, and there were certainly some extenuating circumstances surrounding that collision.
Absolutely. So 22 start tonight, and that's the most we've had all season, by the way. We've had 26 different drivers participate throughout this season, all throughout. So it's good to have these numbers tonight, although we've already got Taylor and Evans a lap down. We'll see some guys racing to the back of the pack, by the way, to rejoin them on the lead lap. Robbie Johnston, meantime, has gotten his DQ cleared, we believe, and so he will be able to continue. And it's a good thing as well, because he seemed to have decent pace. But I think Maconi and William George probably have edged it in that first run there, although I'm not sure how much we can learn from just 5 laps. Maconi went up and challenged William George, who got out to a nice lead. It's the only things really, I guess, we've learned so far, i.e. not very much, as we head through 3 and 4 once again and towards another restart. We will have completed just 8 laps of the 100 here, with the first caution already coming out, and let's see how we go for this second one in a moment, as you see them in the background racing up to the back of the pack, because this is a short yellow. Coming up towards the green, Jeff Maconi in control of the field here from Kansas, still 92 to go.
Very nice jump there from Maconi. He's going to have a pretty comfortable gap as they head their way down to 1 and 2. Meanwhile, the 25 really slow. I wonder if he finally got that black flag cleared, because he's out there on the racetrack, even though he had that disqualification. Hearing that he did get cleared, so I think right before he got sucked up into a UFO portal to take him out of the race, he was reinstated into it. That black flag was cleared too. He's still out there on the racetrack, cutting shapes and sick.
That is a good thing. I think for the race, as I say, coming through again. Tanner Mills, the one on the move this time. Mills on Maconi, coming off of 2. The whole field in one long slipstreaming line. Something we've really enjoyed about these ARCAs throughout the season, this mini-season, throughout this month. It's just been a lot of draft on this intermediate circuit, but also some skill involved as well, unlike some of the super speedways, which can turn into a bit of a lottery. That was close. That was 43 coming down on that, or Tucker coming down on Desmond Burnell for 4th place, and Tucker's actually going to go around the outside. Burnell goes into the side of Robbie Johnston, who's going up high. Inside for Terry Henry, who's going to take them both as Johnston is shoved out towards the wall.
Oh, and that was someone scraping the wall big time a little bit farther in the back of the pack. That may have been the number 15 of Tim Roseno, but either way, up at the front, they are still duking it out and battling as hard as they can. Look at that, they're nearly 4-1 as they headed their way out of turn number 4. That was some gutsy stuff as they headed their way onto that start finish straightaway. But here we go. The 24 and the 86. That's William George and Jeff Maconi duking it out for the race lead once again. Look at Joseph Tucker in the 88 car. He's right there to pounce in case these two come to blows.
Yes, certainly is. But this is what Maconi has done by, I guess, gaining the experience of these last few weeks, actually, is that he's been able to dictate terms from the front like this and hold off the likes of William George. That's again side by side between Burnell and Terry Henry. Terry Henry, the only other driver other than Maconi to have been at both rounds so far this season. As into 1 they go. Look at this, the changing of lines all throughout the midfield. It's just madness in here, isn't it? As they come off of 2 again, they're in danger of creating a bit of a break in the group here from 11th place on back.
As these racers continue to battle, clearly that early yellow not discouraging them from duking it out and battling as hard as they are. And look at that 26 car jumping down onto the apron, getting that moved on the number 96 as they're side by side down into 1 and 2. These racers still oh so close all around this track. They're aggressive. That I think is the best way we can describe it, as look at that. That could have ended in disaster as they headed their way down the backstretch. That was a big amount of contact with Demson Burnell behind the wheel. That number 19 car getting involved in more, John, with the 25.
Yeah, he gets in it again there with Robbie Johnston. That was not ideal, and you're right, it was very close to disaster indeed. Thankfully we got away with it that time round. here comes Tucker on the inside of William George. Can he get clear here, Tucker, or is he going to be freight trained here? It's the second one, as Tanner Mills is going to get into the back of William George, who's going to race down the back straight, who'll get the slipstream off Maconi as well, who get back to second again as Mills enters really high, scrapes along the wall. Terry Henry and Desmond Burnell both slip through on the inside.
And the 25 of Robbie Johnson still stuck behind that number 12 car. Gotta give him a little bit of an assistance push as they head their way downtown into 1 and 2 as a 43. That's actually the number 19 of Desmond Burnell. Nice number mismatch there. Oh, that was a 12. Getting up into the wall big time at a 2. He could have nearly spun himself off into the infield. He didn't, though. He holds on to it, and all that battling right towards the back of that pack, towards the front end of the field. The gap has really gone down between your P7 runner, which is currently Tanner Mills, and your P8 runner of Gavin Schilling. It's still about a half a second, but that gap is a heck of a lot smaller than it was not too long ago.
It certainly is. This is just fantastic racing all throughout the field as we embark on our longest green flag run tonight, by the way, at just 7 laps here so far. Mills down the inside of Desmond Burnell again. He enters very high, Mills, and even when there's somebody on his outside, he's willing to squeeze him up to the outside like that. And again, big save for Tanner Mills. Goodness me, that was a big slide, and he gets away with it. He stays 7th.
Oh, and it's a good thing I had my microphone muted there, because when I saw that number 12 car wiggling out of turn number 4, the noise that escaped my mouth would probably end up on a not top 10 iRacing highlights video. Oh, look at that, some close quarter stuff again, a little bit farther in the back. These racers are getting closer and closer to that roaring fire that is burning around this racetrack lap after lap. It's fantastic from our perspective here in the broadcast booth. I would not want to have these racers' blood pressures or their resting heart rates, because I'm sure it's skyrocketing on both. Look at these close quarters moments lap after lap, as that's the 40 car getting a bit too flirtatious with that inside apron, hit it and nearly lost it as he headed his way through turn number 1 and 2, as that's a big moment right behind.
Big one for the 51, TJ Allen. And Shane Loveridge as well involved. Now, we'll try and unpick this one for you, but TJ Allen has been here already this season, by the way. And this is going to be a full caution for the first time tonight. Oh, he's pretty unlucky there in 51 and just gets battered from pillar to post there. Nothing at all that TJ Allen could have done about that. He was clipped. I'm trying to identify, was it Brett Tyson in car 10 who clipped him? I'm trying to identify that number though. I can't quite see it. The red on red is not 82 in the sim, but does that mean Jaden McGowan? And he, I think, has got to take the blame for that one, unfortunately. 3 cars involved.
Oh, and yet again, some hard impacts involved in all of that. We could maybe take a look at another replay of that, kind of following it once again, the 82's perspective and all that. The one problem with accidents like that here at Kansas, because this track has so many different lines that you can run. You can run on the high side, run down the bottom, and run pretty much anywhere around these corners. It leads to moments like this, but you can see, I think he just overshot it down to the turn. That wasn't a matter. Oh, that was a horrendous impact down to the inside wall for the 072. But no, you could just see he overshot it down to 1 and 2. I think he may have hit the apron slightly, and the process of all that just drifted up into the inside side of the cars a little bit higher up the track.
This is another one from earlier on. This didn't bring out the caution, but this was his huge moment on the backstretch earlier on. I mean, I'm not sure how he actually managed to avoid. Yeah, so he gets. It's not big contact, is it? And from the air, it actually looks very mundane. From the camera we saw at the time, my God, it looked like a big moment. He went side to side with Terry Henry into the pit lane. Meantime, they're all coming in, so we'll have a look at what they're looking. We'll do a replay maybe of the race off pit lane in a moment when they all come out. But this is Tanner Mills' save. I mean, goodness me, he said it was a big save at the time, Ron. It looks even more impressive, arguably, from on board. Great wheel work there. Great car control.
Sawing at the wheel. I'm not even sure if he knows how he was able to hold on to that, but an almighty save at the end of that green flag run. As here we go, we've got some pit stops on our hands, and this was what we were expecting, considering this early drama. This was actually a little bit earlier on. You could tell that based off the fact that all the cars all of a sudden went from pit lane speed to going about 78,000 miles an hour down in there. All of the mechanics having their Red Bull, and that was an interesting call there from William George. I think he only took right side tires on that car.
Only 2 tires taken, but he's the only driver to do it. So of the 17 still on the lead lap, everybody took 4 tyres, apart from William George, who gets out first. I mean, it'd be interesting. I mean, from maybe you can. Robbie Johnston's pit lane time, by the way, is a bit erroneous. He did spend enough time to do all 4 tyres, by the way, because I watched it. Maybe you can remember better, Ron, but I mean, the 2 tyre call, I'm not sure we've seen very much of it this season. We'll see how William George gets on with it here with those new tyre runners around him.
I think Maconi went for it one time. That was raised by our producer, right as I was going to say it myself. I think Jeff went for it, and if I remember correctly, he was slightly regretful in doing that, if my memory serves me correctly. But again, this comes from me. I can't even remember what I had for dinner tonight, which is saying something because I was eating it right before we went live. So I think Maconi went for it. It didn't really work out too well for him. I think there may have been another couple of isolated cases every now and then, but around this racetrack, with how much the tire fall off can affect the handling of your race car, and even though this is such a draft-reliant track, you do have to have that handling on your side. We haven't seen too many drivers make that 2-tire call. Let's see if it can work here tonight, though. Anything can happen.
Yeah, racing around to the back end of the pack there, somebody, as we get back green again. 17 still on the lead lap here from Kansas. A couple still running, a couple of laps down, and some retirements and long repairs happening down on pit lane at the moment. William George takes him to the green. Let's see how this 2-tire call goes, as Joseph Tucker and Jeff Maconi are queuing up effectively here to try and take the lead off him.
Oh, as we could see diving down the inside, I thought that was going to be a car spinning off into the infield, but the 88 of Joseph Tucker trying to jump into the race lead. You can see get put on full display the various lines that people decide to run here at Kansas, and George trying to hold on to any single spot that he can with that 2-tire call. His car may be feeling like the wheels are bolted on sideways, but if he can hang on for now, he may be able to make it work. But as you can see, these racers still duking out in that battle up at the front. George holding on. Oh! Everybody
Tucker
hitting the wall through 2.
Yeah, Tucker led the field effectively into the wall as he smacked it through 2. Everybody followed him. Outside for Henry, and Tanner Mills is in the middle there in the target car. Look at that. 3 wide they go over the stripe. Terry Henry on the very outside. And I thought he was just going to be edged into the wall himself, actually. Maconi, meantime, tries to take the lead away from William George.
As we continue to see these racers duking it out up at the front, they had their way off through 1 and 2 without incident. Unlike last time, I thought we were going to see about 50 different cars spin off into the infield in catastrophic collisions in their own regard, but we're still green, we're still running smooth. Now officially a quarter of the way through this 100-lap long race tonight here on Maconi Entertainment. It's been a barn burner up to this point, as that's a big wreck in the back.
Certainly is, and it's through the tri-oval this time. It's Desmond Bernal into the wall, among others. This will be a short yellow, as we have not had very many laps under green here. Let's see what happened to Bernal here. He's quite back in the pack, isn't he? Oh, and it starts in front of him. He was a pretty innocent bystander in that one. Ends up getting turned by the 76 as they're both figuring out how to get round him. Michael Crump is in the 76. I'm trying to identify the 2 that were ahead. Tim Rosseno and Gavin Schilling it is, who end up making contact. I think, I'm not sure why the 13 took quite so high there, but in the 40, Gavin Schilling was expecting it to be lower, and he absolutely smacks the wall. He'll be in pit lane.
A lot of drama, a lot of chaos in the early stages of this race. You know how we said right before the drop of the green flag, and how much the first quarter of this race can kind of set the trend for the way the rest of it's going to roll. If that's anything to go by, we'll probably have a smattering of chaos all throughout this race. As you can see, Joseph Tucker leading everybody else into that outside wall. Everybody up at the front either drifted up way too high to the point where they were probably feeling a little bit nervous, or they just completely scraped off the lettering on the right-hand side of their race cars. Farther behind, though, there were more drivers ending up on the wall. That was basically the story of one man leading everybody off a cliff.
Yeah, effectively it was, and that was Tucker who was leading at the time. There around the outside goes Shane Loveridge. I wonder if Joshua Evans is going to be given a wave by, or whether he's going to be forced to do it the hard way. Maybe. No, here he comes. He's doing it slowly. Oh, now and they're going too wide. Okay, well, it will happen a bit later on. We're only 28 laps in after all. Evans still 2 laps down. A few stops happening. Robbie Johnston, Michael Crumph, Desmond Burnell, Gavin Chilling and Stephen McGough all into the pit lane. We have got 3 retirements, unfortunately, as well. Blaise Spurland and Dove Cavalli from that second caution. And from the first caution, Logan Cullen Taylor, has retired from the race already as well. So 3 retirements already. Evans comes back quite late, and is that him again running around the outside there, Shane Loveridge? Wow, he's got round again, and he's going to get back onto the lead lap. So we're going to have 18 on the lead lap, but this is one of the things about these races, Ron. We're not too, uptight about letting people have their lap back. It's all about getting back in the game and getting back in the race.
Yeah, we're here to have a good time. We're not in the business of saying, oh, you got involved in an incident right towards the beginning of the race. Well, you should get sent off to Timbuktu. Now, we're here to have a fun time. Jeff's here to get some seat time, and everybody else is running, not for any sort of trophies or anything of the sorts, but we are running for bragging rights here as we're about to get this race restarted once again.
Here we go. Maconi brings them to the green. Still 72 to go from Kansas. Long way to go tonight. And William George still on those 2 tyres, of course. How is he going to hold up? Not restarting from the front, not in control this time round. He's going to have to defend from those on-rushing competitors in the background.
You could see the field running their way down that backstretch into 3 and 4. What I love to see on these restarts, I said not terribly long ago, and I'll say it once again, as well as they're 4 wide right behind, proving the point that I was going to say. You could run so many different lines around this racetrack that 4 wide is possible. And these rather NIMBY cars is, oh no, big drama heading on into turn number 1 and 2. Multiple drivers involved in that. I think that's TJ Allen in the 51 car in the midst of all that. I believe the 13 got a piece of that drama as well.
TJ Allen, one of the drivers who was here last week in the second round of our championship. It's these restarts again. Oh, and it's a bit of carelessness, isn't it, really? The 13 gets turned and ends up in the wall, which Tim Rossano, but I think it's who was that on the inside there? It was 25, Robbie Johnson. I think almost a little bit careless from Johnson. I know they were 4 wide for a brief moment there, but I mean, look at the white line here, and look at the way he just sort of drifts up off the white line straight into the 13. It's pretty careless, really.
Yeah, I think that was a bit of ill-advised driving, if I'm being honest, from the 25. I would love to see the 27's perspective and all that, though, because as everybody was scrambling around the racetrack, trying to find any way in the book to avoid the drama, the 27 went so far down the inside that he probably smashed into a camper van. It was a huge bit of drama for him down into the turn, and the rejoin as well. I mean, he wasn't in, conscious control of his car at all, so I can't necessarily blame the rejoin. There's a drama with the 25 and the 13. There he goes off into the infield grass, hit the curb on, oh my goodness. The fact he didn't collect any other race cars as he rejoined the racetrack sideways with the tires screaming, in no control of the car. The fact nobody got collected in this rejoin is a Christmas miracle.
Oh. Lucky to get away with that. Lucky to get away with the amount of incident that we did there. As into pit lane come a few of those down the back of the field. We are going to have another short yellow, though, because this is only a few laps under green. We're approaching 1/3 distance here on this race, and it's been sort of mixed, I think, Ron, between the sort of green flag running that we'd hoped for and some cautions as well. I think a nice long green flag run, maybe up to the halfway stage now, where we know that we're going to get a caution thrown manually. I think would go a long way to just settling this race a little bit, and hopefully we see some of that good racing again and less of the crashing we have in the last few laps.
Yeah, I think there's many a racer, really all of them, that want this race to settle into any form of groove. The real question is, though, will we get it? Will we get it? It's like the lottery in a sense. You buy a lottery ticket hoping that you're going to hit that big jackpot, but the chances of that happening versus the chances of it actually happening, a little bit of a disparity there. So we'll have to see how this restart is going to go. It's been a hectic first 32 laps of this race. It's gone shorter and shorter in terms of the green flag runs that we've had up to this point, but these racers going to hope to keep it clean. I'm sure that Jeff is hoping to keep it clean because he doesn't want to have to break out the spray bottle of bad behavior, which is the single file restarts.
Well, exactly, yeah, that would be bad news. There's 64 to go, 68 to go. 1/3 distance approaching here from Kansas. Jeff Maconi brings them back to the green again. William George keeps losing about a place every run, and he's in danger here of being swallowed further and further into the pack, but he's holding his own for the moment.
Yeah, holding on to it for now. As you can see, these racers, making contact once again. That right there could have ended in disaster with the 17 and the 12. They keep it going in a straight line, but I don't think they have clean pants after that moment, as the 86 and the 88 still duking that. Look at the 24 of William George. Remember, he is still on that alternate strategy, I believe, running on 2 tires, but how short these green flag runs have been hasn't really hurt him too much. He hasn't had the opportunity to drop down like an anvil push out of a helicopter. He's just been running up there consistently towards the front as all the chaos has been going on behind.
Yeah, he's been going well so far, that is for sure. Do we know, by the way, how many tyre sets these guys get as a restriction? We'll get confirmation on that in a moment, because I thought they only had 2 changes, but that can't be true given the way they've been driving so far. 3 wide, meanwhile, for 3rd place, and side by side for the lead as well, as Maconi's under pressure from Joseph Tucker.
And hearing as well, unlimited tires allotted to these racers. So I was going to say Goodyear. Goodyear does not supply the tires for ARCA. It's General Tire. General Tire putting in a shift to get an infinite amount of tires together for these cars, for all of these competitors here today. As we look at them wiggling around, I nearly saw a crash a little bit farther in the back. These racers, they got through the early restart jitters, but they're still a little bit jittery out there on the racetrack. They're duking it out, squabbling, going 3 and 4 wide whenever they have the opportunity to. Speaking of 3 wide,
3 wide still for 3rd, but on the outside, William George holds his own again. Well, the reason I brought up the tyre sets, by the way, is because I thought maybe that would give William George some sort of an advantage later on, and that's why he did it. But he clearly did it just for a bit of track position, which I'm not sure I quite understand, but there you go. Maconi leads again over the line for another lap here. This is good racing between himself and Joseph Tucker, who just can't seem to find his way past at the moment.
I wonder if he's 100% sure whether or not we have unlimited tire sets here, because with how he was running, and that's not going to help out. Has caused one bit of big wall scrape through turns number 2. He's going to drop down like a stone thrown directly into a pond. He gets overtaken by the 97 and the 19 in the midst of all of that action, as well as that's a 13 spinning around and smacking the wall. More drama behind with the 25.
Another one for Tim Rossano off of 4. Whether this would be another short yellow, actually, because it was so... he's been properly turned there, and Rossano not the one at fault. Who was that getting turned? Was that Austin Mace, yeah, in 97, who got turned? 79 is... 76, I'm reading it upside down. Michael Crump is the one who I think is going to take the blame for that as well, for nearly spinning Austin Mace and eventually being responsible for spinning Tim Rossano.
Everybody's getting punted around as we take a look at that. Crump hitting the back and the side of the 97. So the 76 and the 97, both having their own points of drama through the exact same section of the racetrack. It brings yet another yellow out. I feel bad for Tim Rossano as innocent bystander in the midst of all that. He was like, I'll let you two chase your own tail, and then bang, he just gets spun into the wall.
That's a shame for Rossano, who is in the outside wall there, as more stops this time round. Austin Mace, Stephen McGough and Shane Loveridge this time all into pit lane, but lights are off on the pace car again. Look like we're going to be going green flag racing again. I wonder whether we are going to get this lap 50 caution because of the amount that we've seen so far. They're still saying that they will do, but I mean, I don't entirely... I mean, I'm not running the series run, but I don't entirely see the point of limiting this run to 11 laps if we even make it that far.
It's... I can kind of see both sides of it. Some drivers may still be thinking about angling their strategies just based around that lap 50 yellow, but yeah, we have had quite a lot of interruptions in the action up to this point. And we talk about this theoretical lap 50 yellow, whether or not it will come out. I believe it's still being deliberated right now. But what are the chances that we make it through these next 11 laps perfectly smooth and clean? Because it's been a little bit chaotic up to this point. I think 11 lap green flag run would probably be one of the longest, if not the longest, we've had thus far tonight.
It'll be up there, yeah. It'll definitely be up there. But yeah, we'll see what they decide to do as Maconi brings them to the green again. 11 laps to halfway, and that key decisive moment coming in a few moments' time as they get about 60 laps to go here in this race. It'll be Maconi getting out to a big lead, and Terry Henry showing his face at the front once again. Again, Maconi and Henry, the only two who have been at both rounds so far. Maconi with a second place in week 1 and a first place last week. Terry Henry was third last week, and the week before that he was fifth. So a good couple of runs for him. They're having another good run tonight as well.
Oh, as you can see, I thought we were going to see another accident there involving the number 76 down the inside. Had another car down the inside of the hand. That could have ended in tears, but no, they keep it smooth. Downtown into 1 and 2. Jeff Maconi looking to hold on to this race lead and be the Pied Piper of the field, running all the different lines. That's a driver sliding off into the infield. We remain green, as I think that was William George dropping down big time as he headed his way off the turn. I think that may have been a lap car that was actually down the infield. I can see him losing out some time too.
I think it might be Robbie Johnston actually coming out of the pit lane, who was got in trouble, I think, for leaving the pit lane improperly on the way through here. So anyway, we'll see what happens there as they run again through 1 and 2. Maconi leading the field, and some of them in the background leading them almost into the wall. Quite a lot of single file, probably the most single file we've seen for a while, but Tucker goes to the inside and ruins that. He's going to try and take the lead away from Maconi, and he is going to off of turn 4.
As they had their way onto that start-finish line right about now to start lap number 43 of this race. Maconi going to be playing that momentum game, ripping it on the high side. Meanwhile, Joseph Tucker going to have to defend hard as look at the 17 right there in the back of shot, and some more drivers ending up in the wall through turn number 2. That safer barrier probably going to need a total fresh lick of paint after this race is said and done, but there you can see Maconi trying to crowd Joseph Tucker down to the inside, keep him there on the bottom lane. He's playing it good, but those two chasing their own tail is going to bring that number 17 of Terry Henry right up to the fight.
Goodness me, it just shows, doesn't it, Kansas, you can get single file for so long, but not too long, because the field will be onto you. And here comes Terry Henry. Is he going to make it 3 wide maybe on the way towards turn number 3? No, he won't. It will be Tanner Mills who goes to the outside. He'll run right next to the wall here between 3 and 4. Tucker still on the inside of Maconi, still with his nose just about in front. They nearly make side-to-side contact as well. Maconi leads another lap.
Oh, look at the 17 of Terry Henry. Not going to have a whole lot of momentum. He was running on the apron, but he is right there in this fight as well. He's put in some good performances over the past couple of weeks here in these ARCA boot camp races at Kansas. Keep an eye on that number 17 car to maybe shock the world. Right as I say that, though, he drops down to 5th. It's a 69 nice car of Stuart Hand. Has been able to jump his way up into 4th. And Tanner Mills still running in the final podium spot for now. Keyword being for now. Still a lot of things that can change here as soon as that 12 car getting really flirtatious with the back end of the 88.
Yeah, very, very close indeed as we're 4 laps away from half distance here. Maconi will get the lead off of 2 again, but he scrapes the wall. And here comes Mills, inside line in the 12 as the 2 in front get stacked up. Here he goes to the inside to the lead.
And he is going to be able to clear the 88. Not going to have a lot of momentum, though, but he jumps up onto that high side. He's not going to have to play the defensive game at the front end of this field. 5 cars covered by nothing and not terribly far behind them. You can see the other cars involved in this battling as well. It's Desmond Bernal in that number 19 machine. He's been up and down the field like this elevator in that purple race car, but he's back up in contention for this spot up at the front as he's still battling with the number 69 cars on the high side. Seeing many a racer fade as we get to the end of this green flag stint, presuming we do have that halfway break yellow coming out in a couple of laps time.
Yeah, it's going to be the longest green flag run of the day, or one of the longer ones anyway, as Maconi looks to the inside of Tucker. We're going to restack them again in a moment as the top 8 break away from the rest of the field. Mills throws a block. Look at that on Terry Henry. Oh, and a spin. Trouble in the back. And it's Bernal again who goes for a big spin. This will be the halfway yellow.
Oh, and he must have gotten hit. You can see the damage on that race car and how quickly he was spinning around like a broken record in that car, crabbing its way back to pit lane. There was the moment he overcorrected. Oh, he got hit big time there. I'm not sure who that was. That center punched the rear end housing almost completely out of the race car. Popped him up in the air, probably about 3 feet. There was the moment with the 82, my apologies, drifting up the track. The 43 had to run up the road and ended up on the wall. That was a massive impact for the 43. Either way, the rear suspension completely killed in that race car. Nothing that the 43 could have done, just the victim of circumstances had to drift up into the 69. Otherwise, he would have gotten spun either way, as that was a helicopter car after that bit of contact. I think it was the 072 who was the one that just pile drove into the side of him.
Let's see. This is Shane Loveridge, who was sort of the next chaser, if you like, of the group. But goes the other. Oh, it was indeed. And again, nothing you can do about that. Even slamming on the brakes at that stage for Loveridge is not going to do anything to help him to avoid. So he hits him pretty hard, and we get to that 49 under caution. The pit lane should be open this time round, and Joseph Tucker is going to lead them all onto pit lane with very few exceptions, actually. Only Roddy Johnson stays out, as does Gavin Schilling to try and get his lap back, although he would have been giving it back anyway. They're all into pit lane here on that 49.
Oh, someone just got spun in the pits. If that is an analogy for how the first half of this race has gone, I really don't know what is. A 39 car getting spun down in the pit lane, but everybody in their stalls right now. Is anybody going to take that risk for 2 tires? Will William George double dip and go for another 2-tire stop? I don't believe he will. I think some drivers may have.
See, as they make their way out, Tanner Mills, it looks like everyone's taken 4 tires. Jeff Maconi's taking a while. Has he sped on pit lane, maybe? I think we would have seen it. Joseph Tucker also gets a penalty by the looks of it. It's pretty inexcusable under caution, but this is how the spin happened for Joshua Evans, who weirdly is actually going to get out ahead of Maconi and Tucker because of this. Berno is having a very incident-filled race, and he just turns Joshua Evans here in the pit lane.
And I was thinking, oh, was he just about to come into his pit stall? No, that's I'm not really sure what to say to that, so I'll swiftly and abruptly move on, say wow race cars, and talk about the fact that Maconi had just a forever long stop. That was absolutely absurd how long he was down pit lane. Not sure what the deal was here, but already being highlighted as one of the highlights from the race is this moment from Tanner Mills a little bit earlier on. As he took that run on the high side, he could see the momentum that he had. If he was feeling particularly brave, he probably would have been able to split the difference between Maconi and the 88 car right in front, but then he dives down the inside, cuts that steering wheel down onto the apron. He's going to go, keeps that momentum rolling. Doesn't get the move done downtown into 1 and 2, but just playing that momentum game, and as Maconi ended up on the wall, slowed up the 88. Mills, who's still your race leader as a result of that pit cycle, was able to grab it with that gutsy move down the backstretch.
A number of drivers getting their lap back, by the way, under caution here, which is why it's so empty on the circuit at the moment. Only Robbie Johnston is continuing on here, multiple laps down, but he won't get any more back before this restart. There'll be 49 to go here, and it'll be Tanner Mills to take them back to the green. Maconi and Tucker with chances to come back through the field here. So it will be a lot of fun to watch them as we get into the second half of the race here tonight. Tanner Mills will be in control of the field with Jeff Reimer alongside. Not seen too much of him tonight up until this point. Here we go into the restart zone. And Tanner Mills gets us underway. Good jump actually from him as well as we enter the second half of the race.
Oh, and the number 97 of Austin Mays dropping down big time on that restart. Bit of a choke point there in the midfield. Not sure whether or not his pit crews filled that car up with milk or what, but he's dropping down big time. He's going to get shuffled back all the way to last. You can see Maconi in the midst of all that. I wonder if Jeff just decided to spend more time down pit lane to give himself a challenger, what the deal was from him, whether he decides to use that halfway break and that pit stop as a cue to go off to the restroom. Not sure what the deal is for Jeff. He's still in P11, and with how dramatic this race has been up to this point, can't necessarily say that's entirely game over for him.
Absolutely. There's still a long way to go here tonight. Out of turn 2, William. Oh, look at that again. It's so weird, isn't it? The power that the leader has to just direct everybody into the wall. Nearly 4 wide on the backstretch now. Maconi in the middle, coming through in towards the top 10. He's actually in 8th place. He gets past Jaden McGowan and Joseph Tucker on the straight. Meantime, Henry and Mills side by side for the lead.
once again, these two duking it out. A bit of a different picture up at the front compared to what was not too long ago, as they're oh so close to making contact there at the front of the field. The 12 still holding on to Terry Henry. He needs to manage that battle, because as much as he can give the number 12 of Tanner Mills absolute hell at the moment, with the pack right behind, I feel like it's a double-edged sword. If you take the race lead, that's all fine and dandy to invoke a little bit of 18th century diction. But if he brings everybody else involved in this battle, it's all going to come down to naught, because sure, he ended up killing the rat, but he gave the bear a gun to get it done.
Out of 2 again, and Bernal is under pressure here from Jeff Weimer, who's gone backwards since this restart. William George in the background as well, on 4 tyres, I think for the first time tonight, actually changing 4 tyres, if I'm not mistaken. Out of 4, and it's side by side for the lead again between Mills and Henry. They would have the chance to get away actually from the rest of the field, but because they're battling so much, but they are also fighting pretty hard for the lead. Here goes Henry on the outside.
And they're still scrapping between these two, trying to turn up that wick a little bit as these cars slowly but surely reel them in, even with the side-by-side racing between Jeff Weimer and Desmond Bernal. Gotta say, Bernal, I'm not really sure the best way I could describe this in this race. You can't kill him. You really cannot. He's been the Terminator, even though he's nearly drifted up into the side of the 60, as that was a 17, having a big sideways snap out of 4.
Side-to-side contact with 3 wide with 2 rows, and it's going to be trouble. Big slide, big spin, and Jeff Weimer hangs on to it incredibly through 1 and 2. That's an unbelievable save.
How in the world did he keep that car going in a straight line? An assist from the wall for sure, but my oh my, what a save from that 60 car. Himself and the 19 of Bernal getting involved in the drama all through 1 and 2, sideswiping him big time. I think that number 19 machine was really starting to lose his patience there, because it was more and more of a common occurrence for side-by-side contact to break out between those racers, as that's contact with the 88 and the 24. The 24 of William George getting sent up into the fence.
And Shane Loveridge didn't have anywhere to go there to try and get past him. Meantime, oh, big trouble. Big trouble on the back stretch. This was in the other group, and Jeff Weimer, unfortunately, has finally seen his luck run out.
Let's see what happened. Yeah. I don't have a good feeling about this already. I'm going to be honest. I'm down the inside of the 11 with the 25 on the inside, and look at that car closing up. Oh, I thought it was, yep, it was going to be contact. As soon as I saw that car coming in at a rate of knots, he nearly got clobbered big time there again.
It's Gavin Schilling, who's in car 40, who turned him around, and again, pretty careless, unfortunately, when you look up from on board. This is Joshua Evans' view of it, and he does the sense of, he does a good job of getting out the way in the end, although again could have slowed down a bit more, would have helped him out to stay out the way, but either way he manages it anyway. This, by the way, was an incredible save for Jeff Weimer on the outside of 3 and 4 wide, as William George was trying to force it here. The spin of contact there. Weimer then slides, spins 4 wide, still holding on to it, just clips George, eventually uses the wall to help him, but this is just an unbelievable bit of car control from Jeff Weimer.
Yeah, let's ride on board with him. I gotta say, the car down the inside, that's Desmond Bernal. He definitely could have been a bit more gracious in the midst of all this, just kind of showed the 60 the door there. I'm sure Jeff Weimer not going to be pleased at all with that Yahoo machine that was on the inside of him. I had to do that. I apologize for anyone who I just deafened in the midst of that voice crack. But yeah, I think that could have been a bit more betterly executed. That's not really the best way to describe it. I just realized it's not even the Yahoo, it's a Yippee car.
Yeah, I was going to say, looks like Yahoo, doesn't it? But it isn't. So there we go. Still got 14 on the lead lap. I think it's a short caution, if I'm not mistaken. They're already coming back to the turn 3 again, with some guys in the pit lane, some guys recovering. Looks like we've got 14 on the lead lap, and indeed 14 still in the race. I think Robbie Johnston might have given it up, finally down in 15th position. But we'll wait and see in a moment. So come back to the green. There's going to be 40 laps still to go. Everybody outside of the top 6 came in. So Austin Mace, Jeff Maconi will be the first, and William George as well will be ones who will come to the back with 4 fresh tyres on. See how much that actually plays a role here, because there have not been very many laps so far on these sets of tyres, but they have They have to decide to come in anyway and take some new ones on. Either way, Terry Henry brings them back to the green again. Top 6 on older tyres at the front of the field at Kansas.
As they ship it off down into turns number 1 and 2. Will this be a wake-up call for these racers to maybe take it a little bit easy? These races up at the front, they haven't really caused too much of the drama. They've just been keeping it rather smooth for the most part. Look at Maconi. Right as I said, these racers were maybe going to have to think about taking it easy. Maconi made it 3 wide down the backstretch. He's interested in getting up there again at the front. As I jinxed it with a 17 around.
Oh, and he hits... who's that? He just clipped there. Austin Mason is. 97 he clips. And there's going to be big damage for those two. Terry Henry was running really well once again. He's had 2 top 5s in the 2 boot camp races we've run so far. And his luck has run out here. He's hit by Tucker and he can't hold on to it. In the end, he just clips Mace, who has big contact with the wall.
Yeah, I'm going to blame myself for that and say that I jinxed it, right? As I was like, you know, these racers up the front haven't contributed to the drama. Then we see the 17 car get spun around and bring out another yellow in this race. Contact being made, got shown the door, and nothing the number 97 of Mays could have done there as he got hit a couple of times there. Could have been a heck of a lot worse with cars coming up to him at essentially terminal velocity. Case of ARCA brakes going on there, but at least someone didn't get T-boned going about 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, we did get away with it in that sense, I suppose, but I wonder now whether we're realistically at the stage, Ron, with 38 to go, that we could well not see another 10-lap green flag run between now and the finish. And what that does for strategy, of course, is puts those who are on new tyres right at the back of the field, even further back, not even too wide, and it also narrows those options down a little bit. It will also, maybe wear the tyres a little bit less because there are less green flag laps being taken on, but it may well be a pretty caution-filled finish to this one. We've had a lot of interruptions so far tonight. Yeah,
plenty of interruptions, plenty of bits of drama in this race. I think there's some more still left to go on as Joseph Tucker got to lead a train of cars down into the pits. Interesting call here from the likes of Tucker, Bernal, Hand, and William George, along with many other racers, making that call to come down pit lane. The field has been thinned out a decent amount, it must be said, so that could benefit us in potentially having a greener run through to the end, but outside of that, it has still been a very hectic race. I think these racers are smelling blood in the water. Again, these drivers are battling for bragging rights more than anything else, but clearly the bragging rights are worth a hell of a lot because these racers have been willing to put anything on the line to get them.
Out of the pit lane for Desmond Burnell first. William George, Stuart Hanf, Perry Henry, Joseph Tucker, Brett Tyson and Austin Mace all pitting in. So only Tanner Mills and Joshua Evans haven't been in since the halfway stage of this race. As they come through 3 and 4, and it'll be 36 to go when we go back green. But, you know, just as easily as we've seen so many cautions here, we could well see another long green flag run maybe towards the finish here. We'll wait and see as Terry Henry and Joseph Tucker join very late. Tyson and Mace are going to have a job on their hands to get back round again. And indeed, they're still in pit lane, so they're going to go 1 lap down as Tanner Mills brings them back to green.
And they are already going 3 wide, a little bit farther in the back. I can't even bother trying to say that these racers are going to be taking it easy, because I don't think they are. A black flag in the air for Terry Henry. Oh my goodness, it's a 6-pack of ARCA cars, a 9-pack of ARCA cars even, as they head their way down the backstretch. A 9-pack isn't even a thing, but that is insane stuff as they head their way down into 3 and 4.
Oh, and they're going to be 4 wide. 4 wide off of 4 and over the start finish line. Look at this, steaming through on the inside. Joseph Tucker going to be sick from the outside. Jeff Weimer following him on the outside. Oh, and contact. There was always going to be. Terry Henry was following the contact there with Joshua Evans, but they get away with it.
Yeah, that they did, just barely though. Okay, I thought that was going to be a crash as they headed their way onto the back straight away. The 88 of Joseph Tucker nearly went straight head on into the inside wall, but he still out there on the racetrack, still holding on to P4. The fact that a lot of these racers involved in this battling at the moment, pretty much every single one of them has gotten struck by falling anvil at some point, either self-inflicted or otherwise. They have still been in a position where they can battle up at the front. These cars have got to be driving like the wheels are bolted on sideways. If we didn't have faster pairs, frankly, these drivers would be feeling a hell of a lot worse than they are at the present moment. Maconi and Mills have broken down their own little pack. Meanwhile, the battling for third and the rest of the spots inside the top 5 is still just pure pandemonium.
Yeah, it absolutely is, and it's absolutely fantastic to watch. Bernal here on the inside of Joseph Tucker, who runs around the outside in 88. He is absolutely flying on this restart. He did pit, of course, but so did Bernal, so they should be pretty evenly matched here, but Tucker has shown that he's got the pace tonight as we get to 1/3 distance remaining. Tucker right round the outside, up next to the wall. William George homes in the background as they come up towards the stripe as well. He's going to try and go through the middle here. Jeff Weimer's involved in this group as well, allowing those front two to break away.
Oh, as you can see, the 24 of William George looking down the insides. The 88 and the 43 chase each other's tail up the track. They're in the wall. They're sliding big time. And that's a 43 nearly right rear hooking the 24. Not sure why he was doing that. It looked like he had already collected himself. But he definitely gave the 24 of William George a bit of a fright. The 88 of Joseph Tucker in the midst of that drama as well. These racers once again proving that even with the field shrunk down to the size that it is, they're still running racy. Look at that once again, splitting the difference, going 3 wide, contact being made, deja vu, and the 43 and the 88 going to come to blows.
And there's 6 involved. Goodness me. We're going to get another caution. Bernal gets away with it somehow. We'll go straight to the replay. All 6 of these get involved in the end. Bernal through the middle, making it 3 wide. He just can't come up into there, and they make a jam on the outside. And Tucker is involved. So is everybody there. I know that you've got to leave us in a moment, Ron. So just give us your final thoughts on both this incident and indeed the first 2/3 of this race tonight from Kansas.
Well, that 43 car, I think he needs a talking to, because even though the 24 kind of convinced that first moment, I think the 43 making it 3-1 in the first place kind of led to that accident happening altogether. He's gotten involved in so many bits of drama up to this point that it's gotten a bit out of hand. I mean, overall, it's been a hectic race. It's been a dramatic packed one. These racers getting caught up in the red mist ever since the drop of the green flag. I am not sure how the next 30 laps are going to play out. Unfortunately, I'll have to dip out now and bring in our producer commentator extraordinaire, Howie Burrows, onto this show. But, oh man, these racers, I think there's got to be plenty of racers quite PO'd with each other, so to speak, at the end of all this.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Ron, for joining us tonight. And yeah, shame we couldn't see you through to the end, but such is the way these days. But thanks very much, Ron, for joining myself, you and O'Leary now, Howie Burrows, as you say, operating the cameras and commentating. What have you made of the first 70 laps, by the way, Howie, from the producer's chair? It's been absolutely wonderful racing. I've enjoyed all 3 races, I've got to say, but this is perhaps been the best one of the 3. What have you made of it?
Well, they've all been very, very different. I've gotten to see all 3, and this one has certainly been the most chaotic. We've seen more than half of the field leave the track now. The biggest field comes in, the biggest one comes out, the gloves have come out, and now it's just going to be a game of surviving all the way to the end, I think. Will this be the last one? I'm not even sure of it. Most people are out of fast repairs. Only 2 drivers, Jeff Maconi and Tanner Mills, actually have their fast repairs available, so surely it's got to end eventually.
Well, yeah, you'd certainly think so. We're still, I'm not sure when the last time we had a green flag run longer than 10 laps as well, by the way. I think it was the second run of the race that we had that, but not entirely sure. I'll have to go back and check that in a moment as the field is brought back to the green again. Only 9 on the lead lap now. Jeff Weimer and Stuart Hampford down pit lane for quite some time. I believe that everybody, I'm absolutely sure everybody below 13th is out the race, maybe even lower down than that. But up towards the green flag they come again, off of turn number 4. It'll be Jeff Maconi in control of the field once again. Second in week 1, first last week, and he's looking to repeat that this week. 28 to go from Kansas, and Jeff Maconi brings them back to the green. 13 lap old tyres for him, not as old though as Tanner Mills, who's being challenged immediately by Desmond Bernal on this start.